Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Gemini April 2019 horoscope forecast, part 2 of 2. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first thing up is, well, as far as April goes, well, Venus will be in Aries from the 20th until the 30th. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. This may manifest perhaps in enjoyment in Aries-like groups, such as something connected with the military or even sports, perhaps something with carpentry or welding or even arson investigation, perhaps in some isolated cases. It could be something connected with leadership. It might be a time too, Gemini, if you are unattached, that you might connect with an Aries Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or it could be one that embodies Aries characteristics. It could be somebody you meet in a group, a club, or organization, or something that escalates beyond a friendship, perhaps. Now, also, this could be a period where you value courage, fortitude, aggressive, and assertive energy, perhaps from friends, from acquaintances, and maybe people you know in a group, club, or organization. And also in your attitude toward the future, you could be strongly valuing really standing up for your friends at this time, and maybe perhaps not afraid of having a confrontation with someone on their behalf. Now, this could also be a time where you may find yourself making money through some kind of Aries aspiration. It could be something with welding, carpentry, law enforcement. At this time, working isn't doing something like being an EMT. And also, you might be very ardent in love, or expressing and really being ardent in love with someone you know in some group, club, or organization. Could be somebody that you might meet on social media or through social networking at this time. So, anyway, well, the next thing up is Mars will be in Gemini, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, well, you might find yourself having an abundance and surfeit of energy at this time, Gemini, and it might be injected into a variety of things or doing things that are connected with dexterity, such as auto mechanics, or even it could be refrigeration mechanics, juggling, and also too, it could be very restless energy as well. And also this could be about putting action and energy into Gemini new beginnings, such as something with communication, such as journalism or data communication or satellite communications, something with dexterity, such as auto mechanics, could even be doing something with carpentry or woodworking, anything that could be Gemini related. And also too, you might come across as being more outspoken on a first impression with a lot of Gemini witticisms. Also too, remember, Mars could be connected with surgery, and the first house is of course connected with the physical body. This could be especially true if this is actually the natal first house in one's actual chart. It could be some surgery that may be done on the arms, on the arms or the hands. And also too, this could be a time too where you might be more susceptible to cuts and injuries to the arms and to the perhaps the hands at this time, or fingers, something that could be Gemini related. Even carpal tunnel could be more, might be greater propensity for this at this time. And a lot of this, of course, could be dependent and predicated on aspects this makes to points in your chart. Say if this is making an adverse aspect, say, to your natal Mercury, this could be even give a greater propensity for this. So, I mean, those are some things to look at as far as this goes. And anyway, and also remember that that Mars could be connected with gunfire. Now, you have to, I would be really especially prudent and cautious at this time, Gemini, especially if you are in a really, when I say a bad neighborhood, I'm talking about a neighborhood that has a greater propensity for crime or has very strong criminal activity and volatility. I mean, this could be something too, or I mean, in some cases, you could be more susceptible to gunfire, and that could be something again with the arms or the hands being shot, or it could be something like a drive-by type shooting, because of course, Gemini could be connected with like local transportation and cars and vehicles, so you understand what I'm saying. So anyway. Next thing up, Jupiter will still be in Sagittarius, so the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, as I've spoken about in previous videos, Jupiter can be paradoxical. It could be very benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Now, in some cases, this may expand and enlarge over enthusiasm, exuberance, overconfidence, and even foolhardiness, perhaps in matters connected with open adversaries, legal opponents, negotiation, and also perhaps in matters with competition as well. And it's also important to look at too, is that mean on a positive end? This could be very lucky and fortuitous for sports competitions at this time, or anything Sagittarius related. It could be competitive, it could be something with horses, archery, something with, or even about becoming more learned, like after high school, something connected with college really studies and competition. It could be something that you might just have a friendly competition with a friend, for example, over it might be connected with some advanced trivia, or connected with things that you had learned in college or higher education. And also too, this could be about a lot of exuberance from some kind of sports competition, and maybe even arbitration at this time. This could also be perhaps this is about too, as far as this energy goes, this could also be manifesting hope and optimism through some kind of religious, perhaps through religion with a significant other or marriage partner, or even a grandmother perhaps. And also this could manifest perhaps in prosperity through some kind of Sagittarius partnership. It could be something, for example, connected with translation or immigration, importing, exporting, something associated with sports or the law perhaps, or so I mean anything Sagittarius related. So anyway, and also this could be about a lot of hope and optimism through veracity and the truth in legal matters, kind of like how the truth sets us free, and being honest about situations in a legal matter and telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so to speak. Could be something that could actually be very auspicious for you if you are involved in some kind of legality or legal matter at this time. And given it's going to be retrograde for a good part of the month, a lot of this energy can be done by generating your own fortune in these matters that I just talked about. So anyway, next thing up. Well, Saturn will be in Capricorn still, so the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, you may be dealing with certain restrictions and limitations in matters connected with sex, and perhaps making a major change or transformation and trying to deal with a crisis. It could be matters perhaps in shared resources, or even dealing with the sexual partner at this time. And anyway, this could also be about, in some cases, you might find yourself taking care of a sickly or debilitated. It could be someone you're in an intimate relationship with, or sexual relationship with a sexual partner. It could be something connected, something Capricorn related, such as something with the knees, the bones, or the joints, and making you feel somewhat despondent and melancholy. This could be about taking a lot of serious responsibilities, to taxes, to an insurance matter, even an inheritance. Perhaps older people may figure more prominently in making a major change or transformation. You might experience at this time a rather diminished libido as well at this time. You know, on the positive end, Gemini, you are having Mars hitting your first house, and it's going to be something where it's a little bit, you have some contraindicators, so one can kind of modify the other. And especially if you actually have Mars actually transiting your first house and Saturn actually transiting your 8th house at this point in time. Of course, a lot of this could be dependent and predicated on aspects as Saturn makes to points in your natal chart. Let's say if it makes a conjunction to your natal Mars or Pluto, you might feel this might reinforce perhaps a diminished libido, or even if it makes an adverse aspect to your natal Mars or Pluto, there might be some difficulties sexually at this time, and you might be feeling certain restrictions connected with it. Also, too, this could be about dealing with certain restrictions and limitations and getting moral, emotional, even monetary support at this time. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. I'm back. And I had this transit actually take place recently. It had just ended. And I mean, at that time, I mean, you could really, it's very difficult when you're having Saturn and you're talking about the 8th house and the transit. It's just like, as far as getting emotional or moral support and monetary support, it's almost everything but eradicated. Where Pluto might eradicate completely and obliterate and destroy, Saturn can limit very strongly. And you'll feel this, you may feel this time, Gemini, sadly, that you have a lot of cold and callous people in your life that aren't there to give you that sympathetic ear at this point in time. So anyway, also, though, this could be positive, and it could be putting a lot of laborious, consistent, regimented efforts into something 8th house related, such as astrology, the occult, supernatural. It could be doing something with insurance. And also, at this time, an older person might be figuring more prominently, again, and making some kind of major change or transformation in your life as well. But sadly, in some cases, this could be about an older person passing at this time as well. So that you may know very well. In some cases, it could be a father, or it could be grandfather, or somebody, or just somebody that's older that's prominent in your life. Next thing up, Uranus will be in Taurus, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, in some cases, this could be perhaps about Taurus friendships driving you figuratively crazy. They may be Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Taurus characteristics. This could also manifest in some isolated cases, perhaps about an unusual, stubborn, mental illness, and a lot of this, of course, could be dependent and predicated on other things in the chart. If your chart is such where it indicates a greater propensity for some kind of mental illness, or if this is making an adverse aspect, say, to your natal Mercury, your 3rd house ruler, or if there's something in your chart by progression that might show some indications toward this. But in a lot of cases, again, it could just be about Taurus friendships driving you figuratively crazy, or you might be dealing just with unpredictable events in your life, things that happen very spontaneously that might be driving you figuratively crazy. It could be dealing also with Uranus, like hidden adversaries, people that might be astrologers, astronomers, people that are in perhaps aerospace, rocket science, innovators, people in computers or electronics. It could be people just over the internet, perhaps. It could be also, too, another way this may manifest in some cases, this could be about non-conforming, even rebellious behavior, maybe one's self-undoing. At this time, you might experience more disruptions to your sleep than usual in your private life. And also, too, you might find yourself using astrology, the computer, or the internet, perhaps to help those that are less fortunate than yourself, such as the impoverished, the oppressed, the homeless, and the hungry. You might even be finding some unorthodox or unconventional ways to help others And then you may even be doing that maybe in a way where you're not necessarily getting any credit or accolades or recognition for it, kind of behind the scenes. So those are some ways this may manifest at this time. And also too, you might find yourself having more unusual dreams at this time, more bizarre dreams at this time, more so than usual. Anyway, next thing up, Neptune will be in Pisces still, so the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, you might be dealing perhaps with authority figures, a dominant parent, people prominent in your career that might be somewhat nebulous and unclear, and maybe even deception and duplicity with these people. You might, in some cases too, remember Neptune again could be about deception, duplicity. The 10th house is about your public image, your reputation. You may be more susceptible to slander at this time and things that might be negatively or adversely affecting your reputation. The things that might be untrue or fallacious. And on the positive end, though, you may find yourself doing something Neptune related that could be that pertaining to your career. It could be something connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, poetry, dancing, doing some work with the feet. It could be chemistry, anesthesiology, doing something, helping, being a drug, or I should say, somebody that, like a drug or addiction counselor or whatever that is. I don't know the exact title, but I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say anyway. Also, too, you may find yourself at this time that looking at this, that a lot of cases when you're looking at like Neptune, a lot of it can be delusional energy. You might be looking at like authority figures, people prominent in your career, the dominant parent, which is often the father, maybe even people prominent in your public image, your reputation, your success. If you have a promoter, for example, somebody, advisor, it could be it's somewhat delusional energy, and it might be hard to see the transgressions of these people or their flaws or shortcomings. You might be putting these people a little bit more on a pedestal, more so than usual at this time. At the same time, this could also be about the dissolving or dissipation of one's career or reputation at this time. So it's important to really be careful as far as this goes at this time, or really be looking out for maybe people that might be doing something slanderous to you, that might be trying to bring you down and bring your reputation down. And sometimes this could have an effect, of course, on one's career. So anyway, last but not least, Pluto will still be in Capricorn, so the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, I mean, this could manifest in a multitude of ways. This could add, in some cases, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but I'm going to anyway. Some cases this may pan out perhaps in the actual literal death of a sexual partner, someone you're in an intimate relationship with. It could be someone that you're in a shared resources situation with. It could also be a time too where you might be dealing with more upheavals and power struggles, perhaps in a shared resources situation. It could be with someone you're in a sexual or intimate relationship with. This could also be a time too where it might be a surgical procedure might be done. It could be connected with the knees, the bones, or the skin at this time. Some cases this could be perhaps a knee replacement surgery. Also, though, on a positive end, this could manifest perhaps in eradicating and obliterating credit card debt, if you have any, or some matter connected with insurance, money you may owe connected with it, or some other kind of debt, or matters connected with taxes as well. It could also be, sadly, in some cases, it could be about destructive psychological issues, but you might find yourself going very deep into 8th house matters such as the astrology, the occult, supernatural, and also this could be about uncovering secrets, perhaps regarding an inheritance or an insurance matter and also, or maybe even a shared resources situation. If something had disappeared, for example, that whether it was money or some possession that was in a shared resources situation, you might find yourself being able to get to the bottom of that at this point in time. And also, too, this could be about perhaps leaving a legacy, perhaps connected with investigative ability to make a major change or transformation in your life, and maybe even able to go deep and go beyond the surface and what's superficial. So also, too, this could be a time, too, where you need to be careful at this time, Gemini, because this could be manifest and manipulative behavior in connection with a sexual partner, someone you're in an intimate relationship with. It could either be you being the manipulator or vice versa. So, anyway, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Gemini April 2019 horoscope forecast, part 2 of 2. And stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be giving you my take on the March 20th, 2019 super full moon or full super moon in Libra. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person astrologically speaking based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.